We've talked about Tua Tagovailoa, and the big concern going into this season has been his concussions from a year ago and how he rebounds from that, and this new helmet they've given him, and the judo or jujitsu that his head coach Mike Vape Daniel is still trying to sort out because he can't seem to figure out which martial art discipline Tua was actually doing to get ready for the season. And then the other one that's just sort of flown under the radar is Kenny Pickett, who also had a couple of concussions last year. They were 56 days apart from each other. There was some concern that, okay, well, he had two concussions, and, this was something that, he missed time for, much like Tua Tagovailoa missed time for. And Kenny Pickett is going the route of this new helmet that they've talked about. This new, and he discussed it with Mark Kaberle of the Athletic, just about he showed up and all of a sudden the helmet was in his locker, and he's going to go and wear the helmet if he feels like that's going to give him extra protection. Then he's going to do what he does. And the part that I just still am struggling to figure out what the solution is if these guys do suffer another concussion, and we'll just keep it at Kenny Pickett, but you could throw Tua into the mix, obviously. How long before their next concussion, before people are just okay with the fact that, all right, they suffered another concussion, this happens from time to time. It's unfortunate in the NFL, but the idea that neither one of these guys is going to get dinged or hit the back of their head on the turf, which is what this new helmet is designed to sort of protect against, the idea that neither one of these guys are going to play another decade in the NFL and not suffer another concussion in their career seems pretty far-fetched. And at what point do we have enough time in between what happened this past season for these guys and what happens next before people are just okay with the fact that it's a physical game and this stuff happens?
I mean, that's how it's always been. You guys get weeded out by injuries and age. It's just like the law of the wild. Injuries and age. The injured are the most preyed upon. The ones that are aging are the most preyed upon and aren't able to survive. That's just how it is in the National Football League and in football in general. Is you're weeded out by your durability. You're weeded out by your age, and that is how it will always be. That's if it didn't happen that way, like species would overrun and overtake the planet.
It's a Serengeti,
and that's the same exact premise in the National Football League. I mean, you look at what happened during COVID when all of these guys got granted these years of eligibility. It threw off the ecosystem of recruitment and of rosters in college.
Yeah.
You got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year seniors, that are coming back because they were granted this opportunity based upon COVID.
Oh, what about the high schoolers? Got completely destroyed.
And high schoolers lost time and lost the ability to get recruited because those scholarship spots were already taken by guys that were staying longer because of COVID. So it just disrupts the ecosystem. So I get why, you would try to prolong somebody's career from ending, and why a player would try to prolong their career from ending due to an injury. But that is continuously the reality that exists. More often than not, guys are retiring from the game of football because of injuries that they just can't get past. And that's all kinds. That's Achilles tendons, it's turf toes, it's plantar fasciitis, it's Tommy John, surgery dudes with their elbows. It's knees, bad knees, ACLs, MCLs, LCLs, cartilage, kneecaps. It's, you name it. Every single injury that you can think of, there's reasons why guys aren't playing anymore. Soft tissue guys, hamstrings, quads, different things like that. Groins, hips. You can go all the way through the entire body and say there are injuries that take place that are the demise of a player, and that's going to always be the case.
So if, and I think part of what happened last year, the reason why Kenny Pickett didn't get as much of the attention for his multiple concussions like Tua did is because where Tua's happened, the stage it was on, it looks so much worse. And because more people saw it, like it just shows the reach. It shows when the moment happened, it was national television. One was on Thursday Night Football. His hands locked up, just the imagery and just the optics of it were awful all the way through. I mean, Kenny Pickett suffered a couple of concussions as well. He didn't have all of that, and it wasn't on full display on national TV when he suffered his. I just think, look, you can try and adjust the helmets and add these new special helmets to where they won't hit their head on the back of the turf, but it just still doesn't alleviate the fact that, look, Kenny Pickett likes to be mobile. He likes to scramble a little bit. If he's, diving for a first down and he catches a knee in the ear hole, what are you supposed to do? Like, at some point, don't you just accept the terms and conditions that are the NFL? And it is what it is. Like, you can only do so much to try and make it as safe as possible. And it feels like, I'm just wondering, are these guys going to be labeled for the rest of their careers concussion prone? And that's just going to be what it is. And they could not have another one for 7-8 years, and all of a sudden they get another concussion on a fluky, crazy play, and next thing you know, the conversation spark back up again. Like, that's why I wonder what happens with these guys and just the conversations around them and their durability moving forward.
Well, it's certainly going to always be connected to the conversations, right? I mean, you can't get away from the conversation of concussions being a part of who they are, because it is a part of who they are. And you have to maintain a watchful eye on it as a fan, because you don't know when those may happen. You can't predict it. And that's just what it's going to be. So whether they go a long period of time without getting one or not, you're still going to be sitting there wondering, are they going to get one?
But it's weird that we don't do that with Mason Rudolph. And if anybody remembers Mason Rudolph, he got absolutely disintegrated by Earl Thomas on a hit. That's one of the most violent hits you'll ever see. And he even was quoted in this article via The Athletic that said, yeah, I'm not really worried about it. I'm not changing my helmet. I'm not, that's not, and that's one of the worst looking concussions that you could possibly see. And his rationale of it was, well, I talked to my doctors and it was just a fluke, sort of 1 in a million type situation. So it's not something that I've really got to be worried about. But with Kenny Pickett,
people should go look at the highlights that built football from the 90s, the late 80s. You should go look at that film. I won't even tell you to go before then, back to when, Lyle Alzado and Mean Joe Green and all of them were playing. Like, I won't even tell you to go back all the way back there. Just go to the late 80s and all of the 90s and look at how they played football. Like, do you realize that was the mark of a dope defensive player? Look at how many times Ronnie Lott, like, who's considered by many to be the greatest safety in the history of the game.
You remember the Mike Singletary stat? It was like he broke 9 helmets in college. Like, that was like a badge of honor. That when he was playing at Baylor, Mike Singletary broke like 8 or 9 helmets during the course of his career. Man, if that happened now, like, how many games you suspended for? You know what I mean?
And you built the league off of that violence.
Right.
You built the brand of the league, the popularity of the league off of violence. And listen, to me, I know you want to continue to make the game safer and make the game perceivably what is called better. And I understand there's evolution. I understand there's education. But at some point, you got to realize that outside of monitoring it when these kids are kids and making sure that it's a safe and proper environment for them as kids, there comes a point in time where it becomes something different. And there is a primitive aspect, survival aspect that is connected to football. That's why people love it so much. You're modern day gladiators. That's why people love it so much. It's one of those deals where you can watch somebody abuse somebody physically and they're not getting thrown into a car and taken off to jail. Like, they're both prepared for battle. Look at the way football players look. They're built to be warriors. You train to be warriors. The only ones that don't look like that more often than not, generally speaking, are the quarterbacks, because they don't have to be that. That's not what their job description within the battle is. They deliver the mail. They deliver the package. But for the most part, everybody's geared up to throw down. And at some point, I think we lose sight of the fact now, just because of the way, to me, our culture is evolving. Our culture has become a very, very soft culture. Just a bunch of soft people.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'm just being honest, and you can look at the stats. I always go down the conversation. You can look at the stats. Look at the stats of first responders and assignment, enrollment, and signing up for first responders. Look at how many people are going into basic training. Look at how many people who can make it out of military basic training. The numbers are staggering. And it's just, there's the saying. It's been going around for a while now. It's been running on social media. It's hard times create tough men. Tough men create easy times. Easy times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. That's where we're at right now. We're at the soft man. We're at the soft man time right now. And at some point, you just got to take a look at what it is that you're really, really, and a lot of people will say, medically speaking, I sound irresponsible and I sound bad. And you could put that on me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But at some point, men need to be trained to be men. And especially if you go into a realm of playing a sport that's a full contact sport, once you get to a certain age, it's a full contact sport. So live with what comes with playing that game and being a part of that culture. That's why you play it. I don't want people to be able to do what I did when I played ball. I don't want everybody to be able to do what I was able to do. That's what makes me unique. That's what makes me special. So when I identify somebody else who does that, or can do it the way that I did it, or do it better than the way that I did it, there's a level of respect and admiration, and there's just a feeling of pride that they can do it. That's what that goes for anything. If you're a painter, if you're a musician, if you're a dentist, if you're a plastic surgeon, if you're a Mariah Mills and you're an adult film star, like any of those things, any and all of those things matter.
She brings her lunch pail to work too.
You got that right.
Disrespect her.